Okay.
Here we are. Nice. All right. Okay. Well, are we ready to go?
Yeah.
All right, we're ready. All right. Well, welcome to Window World. My name is AJ Bove. I am a co-founder of Odorex Athletix, and alongside me is one of my best friends and also co-founder of Odorex Athletix, Marcus Gurgiolo. Not with us today is another co-founder of the company, Michael Marivola, and also not with us here present, but in the audience somewhere is Eric Gaber. So today the title is Case Study, Building the Odorex Brand. To be honest, if anyone's going to be putting on a seminar about building a brand, maybe we should be attending it because we are learning about building our brand as we go. We're kind of a startup company. We've been incubating for a while, and pretty much what we're going to do today is kind of tell our story from, when I was a sophomore in 2017 and kind of bring you up to where we're at today. And then we're going to put some branding notes in there as we go. So Marcus, you have anything else to say before we get going?
No, as usual, you covered everything needed.
Nice. All right, go ahead, Jack. We can start sharing the screen. All right, Odorex Athletix. Let's see if the clicker works. And nice. Was that you? Jack's the clicker? Great. All right, so in 2017, I was a sophomore at Westminster College. I was an international business major. I had a minor in Spanish. The international business major did not stay, but the minor in Spanish did. And Brian Petrus in our BA 140 class was like, there's this Edwards business plan competition. One person did it last year. All you have to do is submit a business plan, which you've already done for my class. All you have to do is submit that, and you'll be put in, and you'll do a presentation for it, and there'll be some judges. And if you win and your idea is good, then you could win some academic scholarship. So later, I met up with Marcus, who had graduated at that point, and our other buddy Mike, and we came up with some different ideas in your basement.
Yeah, basically we just whiteboarded some ideas. We try and think of something and then probably search it afterwards and find out that it was already a thing that existed. So we went through that process a couple times, which is pretty frustrating. Kind of come up with an idea for the sake of coming up with an idea was pretty difficult. It wasn't like we didn't have a really motivation to push us in a direction. And I think AJ was going to enter the competition, so he settled on an idea, and I was on my way to soccer, and I was like, I think that idea is not great, and I want to think about something that's like relevant to AJ, and he is a goalie. Goalies' hands notoriously stink, and I thought, oh, why not put something on underneath? And I called AJ, and I can remember where I was on 224, called him, and I said, what about this? And he was like, yeah, let's do that. And so that's how it started.
Yeah, from there, we were kind of in like an early incubation stage. We put together a business plan for that competition. I think maybe 4 other people had business plans, and I presented it, and I won, our idea won. And from there, I was like, cool, give me my money. That's it. And then it was not until the end of the semester that it was the awards banquet, and they were giving all the awards out. And again, Brian Petrus kind of gave a little spiel about what the product was. And I had a few people come up to me after, and they're like, hey, it's a pretty good idea. If you could, make that into a thing, I would definitely buy it. I think you really have something here. Also, if you could kind of integrate that technology into other products, you could really have a full-blown company here. So that was cool. That was the first time that anyone was like, hey, do this. And it kind of changed my perspective on it. And I think I remember calling you after. I was like, hey, dude, people really like this. I think we might have something here.
Yeah, and I mean, from being involved in sports like our whole lives, just never seen something that was like that. It's like, that's cool to me. Let's do something.
Yes. So yeah, that early stage, like later on after that semester had ended into the summer, we were kind of just swirling around. We didn't really know like what to do, who to talk to, because there was things we were considering. Like I remember we came up with a list of just all the things that I thought we would need. I don't even know if we've completed that list now.
So we have this document that we had to eventually retire because it was getting too long, but it really is like timelined everything from the first day that we're like, hey, let's try this. What might we need? And there's money and talking to people. And that was one of the things in that like talking to people phase was a lot of people have a lot of different ideas about how you can go from the beginning. So it was, you need to do this right now, like only focus on, protecting yourself and finding a patent, or let's only focus on trying to get sales and stuff like that. So there was a lot of different people giving us a lot of different ideas, and we're just trying to kind of roll in different directions. So I think that maybe while the straight line was the fastest way to go, we definitely were very swerving at the beginning.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, when I think back to those days, like you just don't even know what questions to ask. You know, it's all so new. And like you said, people were telling us to get a patent. Some people were telling us to not tell anybody, but then other people were like, well, you got to tell people. So we were kind of all over the place. And then later that fall semester, in late 2017, there was, it was kind of the pre-WEC. It was a guy before Eric Gaber was there, and he was there to kind of try and help bolster up the entrepreneurship aspect of Westminster. And we just came from two different places, kind of culturally speaking, in an educational standpoint, and we just moved at different speeds. It didn't really vibe all that well. And at that point, he had sent me up to Erie with a few of the other entrepreneurial students who had entered the business plan competition. And I remember we went up, and he just told us we were going to go up there and just talk to a few people, bounce some ideas around, some other entrepreneurs and self-employed people, and then we get up there, and he's like, all right, get up there and go pitch your idea. And we're like, okay, I don't really have much prepared. And he kind of just throws us in the deep end. And I remember there was probably like 7 or 8 people in there, and they did not quite get the concept of it. I mean, we had people, someone told us,
It's like, why don't you guys do a soap instead or something like that?
a soap. Someone was like, here, look at this lotion bar. You could do this. And it's like, wow, that's not quite, it. And then other people were making some other wash, and it's like, that's already out there. And then probably one of the more disheartening parts of the ride home was the guy that brought us there, the entrepreneurial in residence professor at the time. He kind of just rolled with the negativity that they had told us. He was like, well, maybe you could just make a custom glove company. Like, I have big hands. Maybe you could just make custom gloves for people. And we're like, that's not it. It's not what we're doing. Marcus' hands are small. So like, that's not us. So
yeah, we weren't just doing something for the sake of doing something and trying to make money. This was something that like was relevant to us, relevant to like the people that we were around. And so we wanted to see what we could do. And, at the end of it, if we only made one and AJ was able to use it, then that was fine with us.
Yeah. And another element of that time I remember is like everyone we were talking to was like, you need to have the right team. And we were just like, what do you mean the team? Like, we can just go and, we have the idea. Just tell us what we need to do. We'll go do it. Why do we need a team? And that was something that I remember frustrated us, and particularly you.
Yeah, it's definitely really, really frustrating because, we were moving. And I think one of the things that I learned from that process is like the team, and I didn't really quite understand, was when we went and watched Blue Tree, and we watched some other entrepreneurs pitch their ideas, and the panel kind of judge them and then go through, who they wanted to move on to the next round. And one of the people that they ended up moving didn't really have the greatest pitch, or maybe the greatest idea even, but at the end, they kind of rolled through everyone that they were working with, and they had someone that some people on the board, recognized. They're like, well, I mean, if he's involved, then that's, something that we need to consider. And that was really eye-opening for me. And they're like, it's really hard to like vet ideas and to determine what's going to be good and what isn't. But if someone else good is already involved, then that makes the process that much easier. So, we kind of started to build from that a little bit to see who else we could get, as advisors for us that would, help build our credibility. And I think that's something that we definitely learned in the beginning was credibility is something that people don't just give out. So you need to find ways to build it early.
Yeah. And I remember we did have to learn that on our own, because I even asked the professor, I was like, he's like, build the team, build the industry experts, we get the best goalkeeper you can get. I'm like, all right, I'll get the Italian national soccer team goalkeeper. I'll hit him up on IG. And he's like, yeah, do it. And I'm like, maybe it'll work. I'm like, okay, it didn't work. And we were also called X glove enhancers at the time. So, that's another thing, things change over time, and that was the initial name of the product. So we just dropped the X. So now we're just glove enhancers as the product, and Odorex is the name. So go ahead, Jack. So here's a look at our first logo and our current logo. Marcus's dad made the first logo, and now's a good chance for us to bring in some branding where that's not a bad logo. We had a lot of really good feedback on the logo. A lot of parents thought it was a really cute logo. It got the idea across. It was a skunk. Your gloves stink. It's wearing the green gloves. It kind of had a little bit of our color scheme in there. It had the X with the V and the A and the word mark there. So it seemed to do well. But as we kind of developed our brand and developed our product, we kind of looked at other companies like Nike, Under Armour, more athletic companies that we wanted to align ourselves with. And kind of changing up the vibe of it was something that we kind of wanted to do. So looking at the new logo, it's a little bit fiercer, a little bit stronger. The text is a little bit sleeker too as well.
Yeah, I would definitely say like in the process, originally it was get a logo, give something to identify ourselves, like get something to throw up on the board when we're talking so they know, like give something visually. And that kind of helped give us a little bit of recognition at the beginning. But, as we kind of identified what our target market was going to be, it wasn't going to be driven as much to like the way younger kids. So we needed something that looked a little bit sleeker, that while, yes, it's still a skunk and it still makes you think of stink and stuff like that, it's not so childish that people are turned off by it.
Right. Go ahead, Jack. What a great day. So this is when we first had the idea, and we went to Marcus's grandma's basement.
She's on the call.
Shout out to Marcus's grandma.
Yep, that's in the basement with our first time we got on the sewing machine, and tried to just kind of get a visual representation of what we thought it was going to be. It wasn't really going to be a functioning version, but when we tried to explain the idea, we'd seen a couple times where message kind of wasn't really getting across. So being to have like a prop at least with us, and displayed.
Yeah, and we could have just bought a glove, but the fabric that we were using was more in line with what we thought would make sense. And I remember when we were making those, we like traced our hands, and then we had the two pieces with the tracing, and we cut it out. And when she went to sew it together, like we could not fit our fingers in it because like we didn't take into account like we were acting like we were flat Stanley. Our hands are three-dimensional, so we had to make the glove fit the hand, and that was kind of what was going on there. So that was a fun day.
Yeah.
Jack. All right, so 2018, again, this is kind of those pre-WEC days. There wasn't a whole lot going on, but Marcus did enter a competition at Walsh where he was in grad school.
Yeah, so I did like pretty similar to Shark Tank. They had some alumni from the school there. We were in a contest to present. I made it to the the presentation round, and I came across some similar type issues where kind of described that there was a problem, and people that are involved in sports know that sports stuff smells. Like it's pretty known. So the problem was easy to identify, but sometimes the final product, they weren't really sure of how it was gonna work and stuff like that. So I while I felt like I might have should have won, didn't, which was a little bit disappointing. And I think it just kind of ramped us up onto, all right, we need to find a better way to get our message across. And I think that's when we started using some of these analogies that I think have really helped us put them like visual in people's heads when we bring it up to them for the first time. So using like same way that socks work with your shoes, like if you can imagine working out without any socks on, how gross your running shoes would be and how fast they would go away and how bad your feet would smell. Kind of the same thing that all the glove athletes do. They don't have anything between the sweat and their gloves. They wear them almost every day. They deteriorate, they smell terrible, and there's, you can only get something so clean after it's so dirty. So
right. Yeah, and then we were also in the E-Center in Hermitage, and that's a really cool place over there. Lovely building, lovely people over there. But I don't know, every time we were there, it was kind of a ghost town. There was one person there who had a bunch of rocks. He looked to have a very good business, but none of his rocks rubbed off on us. And
yeah, it was a good place. It was a good place for us to kind of almost like an office.
It was totally an office. It was right in Hermitage. So when I was at Westminster and he was over at Walsh, it was a good place for us to meet.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we did kind of jumping ahead here into the patents and lawyers stuff. I remember on a Friday night just looking up all the different patents that are out there. And I couldn't even do it. Like you would have to search and I'd be like, dude, I don't want to see it, because I felt like if there was a patent out there that was already kind of what we were doing, I thought that we were done, which isn't totally the case, but I was very
But the patent search process was definitely something that I remember doing in the E-Center, and just like, it was infinite.
Yeah.
Like there was just no way that the two of us were going to sit in there and get it all done. And then with the fabrics piece, I would say that's probably when Mike came in the most, or he was there at the beginning. And then we were trying to figure out, okay, well, we have to get something made at some point, and we have to figure out, what exactly we're going to make it out of. And the fabric that we were looking at originally, it just didn't quite work exactly the way we wanted. And it was going to be super expensive to get it in that volume that we wanted. So Mike is a chemical engineer and a master's in material science. So he was in grad school, and I called him. I was like, hey, we have, remember our idea. We're really going to push it forward. I need to know kind of what would be the best fabric to use for this moisture wicking fabric to go underneath the gloves.
Yeah, the fabric. Yeah.
Yeah. So he did a little bit of research, and he came back to me with a couple options, and then from there we, Alibaba, we got some samples,
Yep.
and kind of did a little feeler, and then started looking for ways to move it.
Yes. And then, we had
Maybe I skipped a few in the middle there.
yeah, we had a trip to Cleveland
Yeah.
in that time. We met with a guy named Peter. He at the time owned a goalkeeper glove company that had grips on the inside of the gloves. And we were like, oh, this could be a great marriage of our products because our product has the grips on the outside, yours has it on the inside. Let's rub our hands together and make a good product. And he was cool with it. He liked the idea. He was kind of giving us some input as to how he got his samples made and where he got them made by. I think it was a company in Germany. But then he ended up running for local office and he sold his company. So things didn't really work out.
But it was really big for us because it was like the first time that we had a more direct business meeting that we had set up ourselves, and we had gone to talk to someone about potentially getting our product in a way that it could be sold. And while it may have been falsely backed that he said that we could do it, and we weren't really in the place to give him the gloves right then.
Yeah, we
it
still
gave
didn't
us
have anything made at that point either.
It gave us that boost forward. Okay, we presented this to someone that's in the industry. They're like, we see the value in it, and that really gave us a push to okay, we got to get some real gloves here with us so we can start pushing this forward.
Yeah, and I would still kind of consider that whole time just more swirling. We were still we had a little bit more direction, but what to do within that smaller lane that we've been able to identify, we still didn't really know where to go, but we kind of just kept rolling with it. And then I think the next slide are some drawings. Okay, no, they're not drawings. But 2019 came around, and I remember this is when WEC was a thing. This is when Eric Gaber showed up in our lives. And things have been great ever since. So if your life is going not great, get Eric Gaber in your life. And he really was like, market research, do it. That's what we got to do. So we did a bunch of market research through different connections at Westminster. We were able to find a silent investor. That was another huge step for us, finding someone that was able to believe in our product enough that they were going to put their own money up for it, the initial seed investing. So that was a big step for us mentally, morally, physically. It helped us get things. So that was nice. And then it was kind of just product development and testing it. And that's kind of when we started going over to Alibaba in China. I know that might not be the most popular place to get things from, but for people balling on a budget like we were, it was a very effective way to do it.
Yeah, the easy way to come in contact with a lot of people that had options to make it. And we kind of had to narrow it down. It took maybe 4 or 5 sections of samples, which took a good period of time. And we kind of were a little bit stuck in, it kind of made sense at the time because I think Mike was finishing grad school, AJ was finishing undergrad, I was finishing grad school. So we didn't really have a ton of time to be able to push stuff forward. So we were kind of rolling through samples to get a version that we could actually give to people and start having people test.
Yep. All right, gotcha. All right, so here are some of the first drawings that we made. I remember I drew these on my Surface Pro. And it's a little bit redacted, some of the words, not because there's anything proprietary, but because I'm embarrassed of how basic my words are. It's basically make it like this, like that, tight here, grippy there. So that was kind of the first drawing. And then Jack, if you hit to the next one, you can see how similar. If I go back one. Okay, yeah, I guess I forget what order I put these in. So anyway, that was the initial drawings. And then you can go to the next slide now. So this is kind of, this is another drawing we had. Same sort of thing, just showing the different features, trying to point it out, trying to spell. Because when we're making these designs and drawings, it's we're not technical writers. I don't know how to communicate these messages to people other than pictures and words. So
and for them, it's also easiest too. There's a little bit of a language barrier going on, and so being able to get a good visual representation with arrows and everything, it kind of helped us get it closer and closer to what we actually wanted in the end.
Yeah. Okay, so here's another version that we had. So if you want to toggle back and forth between these two, the only difference is the grip on the fingers.
Yeah.
So yeah, you kind of have the line grips there and then those grips. And if you go to the next slide, you get to see what those two products look like. And the one on the left, that's actually made of a fabric called Lycra. And it's a little bit more of a warmer fabric, something you would find in the winter, like just a winter glove, even like a scarf maybe. And then the one on the right is kind of closer to the fabric we came up with, or that we're using now. It's still a little bit loose around the wrist, and obviously the dots on the fingers and the palm there are not super uniform. And we got that sample on the left actually from a manufacturer in America. He was in New York, and he was just going to China anyway. And I remember the customer service we had, it wasn't super great. The costs were higher. So that's really why we kind of started going into China anyway.
I would say with this part too, like we're trying to get that final version where we're able to like roll out to people. It was kind of hard because, this is 2019. We started in 2017. So it's been 2 years of kind of just having an image in our heads of like what we wanted this thing to look like, and then trying to get it made to then give to people for the first time. We wanted it to look exactly, like the way we had it.
Yeah.
And so that took, a lot of versions.
Mm-hmm. And this is the drawing for what we currently have now. It, as you see, the dots are a little bit more uniform. The drawing is just a little bit more refined. This is after a few samples that we've made, so we didn't have to continue adding pictures and adding so many words to things. So it kind of, is pretty much our final prototype drawing. And then I think the next slide is, so there's our current product, the packaging and the glove itself. So, we're happy with it. That was from our photo shoot day at Westminster. Thank you to everyone who helped out that day. And that we also decided to go with the light grip, the gray colored grip there. I think that looks pretty sleek. Something a little bit easier to see than the gray, but also we did try it with green, and it kind of looked like a little kid's glove. So there's a little bit too much green.
Yeah, the gray helped like let people know from inside the packaging that was there by just seeing it, where when it was clear or black originally, it kind of glanced past it.
Yep. And 2020, at the beginning of 2020, we were kind of still continuing with our personal and professional lives. I was an auditor, kind of hating my life. And what were you doing at that time?
So I started at ADP in 2020. So
okay. So yeah, we were still same sort of thing, just kind of trying to find times to meet and things like that. And this is where we really started to focus on, we had the market research, we had the product, we know it's viable. So now it had
been tested for a period at that point as well.
Yes, you're right.
2019, the end of it, when we had the final version, it got tested through a couple different sports channels.
So. Yeah, different sports channels, and then I also tested it playing some soccer leagues. So that was good. So again, we knew the product worked. We knew there was a market out there. So now it was kind of starting to, build up those things that actually make it a company, not just a product. So we started working on our brand identity. We started building our website. We focused on like how much money we're going to need for production and how many gloves we're going to get. That was another thing. To project how many gloves you need, it was kind of tough because you can go off of the market research, but you still don't. It's still kind of tough.
There's a lot of stuff where you can't. I think we kind of learned that you can't be perfect at it. You can't be as precise as you want it to be. Like we'd love to know exactly how many we're going to go and how many we were going to use for sampling and stuff like that. But every month we had a meeting or something, and something else would change. And it's like when we're so small, any little thing can create such a wave that it changes a lot of what we're doing. So the production was tough to try and figure out exactly what we needed, but you gotta had to make a plunge. You just had to get gloves. So just picked the number and went with it.
Yeah. So, and then, we had our launch, and there was a lot of marketing that went around that. We had our different social media channels. We were on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. We're still working on developing that. Like I said, we're still learning about branding, everything that goes along with it, to get the word out. And then fortunately at the end of 2020, we made the glove available around like the beginning of October. And then a little bit before that, and throughout the end of the year, we were in partnership talks with a startup hockey company that was super exciting for us.
Right. And that's kind of the thing too, is, we're talking about the partnerships and the launch is like, okay, we have the glove, we can sell it, everything's good to go. We got to get something to like launch us forward. So just kind of reaching out in different avenues, like, some of the bigger, hockey influencers and stuff like that, reaching out to them and seeing, and just kind of learning about maybe the backside, more the innards of like that type of the industry where I didn't really know. You see people advertise products all the time on Instagram, but you don't really know that those guys have agents that you have to go through, and they have different, contracts with other people that maybe affects what they're able to do and stuff like that. So we're kind of learning about that and just kind of shooting different stuff in different directions. And fortunately, a couple things stuck, and we kind of got in talks with some different people which ended up helping us on the backside. Like, okay, we're going to be dealing with these people. We got to push ourselves up more.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was great to have that vote of confidence that these people liked our product and we were going to roll forward with it. Unfortunately, it didn't really work out. COVID had its, reared its ugly head again and kind of pushed things back. It didn't eliminate things. It kind of just delayed it. And I mean, we were kind of talking that it may be a blessing in disguise because now the only thing we have to focus on, and Jackie, you can go to the next slide. The only thing we have to focus on now is selling. And that's really the only thing. So we're also developing the brand a little bit more and trying to understand who our customers are as we get them and what they like and what they don't like and how we can better approach them. Before I got here, I was on the phone with a guy who's an online marketing e-commerce specialist. So just trying to level things up. We have the website, we have the product, we have a marketing campaign that's there. Now we're just trying to get things bigger and grow things more. So that's kind of where we're at now. And that's the last slide. So Jack, if you want to get back to us on full screen, I'd love to take some questions unless there's anything more you want me to talk about.
no, I just saying with like leveling up the brand and stuff like that. It's not always the easiest thing to do. Like you see people go viral and stuff like that, and their following grows. It's been a lot more of we got to do more grit work to be able to get the money to do the things that help grow us faster. And I think we may have spun our wheels on that a little bit, trying to maybe leapfrog that step. But it's just a lot of hard work between the group to be able to get things pushing forward and help on the back end from a lot of the WEC kids.
Yeah, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention, all the people that helped us. Everyone in the Westminster Entrepreneurial Center, Ron Emery, both of our mentors, Eric Gaber, obviously. I don't want to start making a list because the list could just go on and on and on.
Definitely grandma, though.
Yeah, there's one person from day one, Marcus's grandma. And also shout out to Doug for pressing these hoodies, Doug Sala. Sorry we took so long to get you your gift card for doing this, but you still have some polos to press. So, work's not done yet, but thanks for that anyway. So that's kind of the story of how we got to where we are. It's not a perfect thing. And I'm glad, I know the title was like building a brand and a case study on the brand. And it's glad we were able to touch on a few of those things, but I really wanted people to know, especially at Westminster, because I feel like Eric Gaber just never shuts up about our product. And if I was in one of his classes and I didn't know me or my story, I would hate me before I knew me. I would just be like, what the heck are these people doing? This is a glove. Like, what do they think? So I just wanted to get the story out there and kind of just, tell people how it all happened, because it wasn't an overnight thing. It took a long time. I remember there was one point, it was during that, I think it was probably 2017 or spring 2018, after I went up to Erie, and everyone was like, yeah, use soap. And I was just like, I was talking to my mom, like, I don't know if this is viable. I don't know if it's something, it just feels like it's so far-fetched and so far away. But one of our good friends, and actually first customer ever, Cody Pastapak, actually told me one time, he's like, there's two types of games. There's the finite games and the infinite games. The finite games are things that end, they have a start and a finish, a winner and a loser. Sometimes they tie, and then there's the infinite game. And it's just, you just keep doing it, and that's winning. That's success. That is moving forward. And that's kind of where I feel like we definitely fall into that category, because we're just continuing to do it. I mean, we launched, we had some good sales in the end of the year last year. We started in January, things were a little bit slow, and now we're reaching out to stores again, and things are starting to look up. We're sending some samples out. We're seeing that process, and we're just not quitting, and now I can definitely see where companies would fail in the fact that they keep going and then they run out of money. But, there are other risks you got to take with either investments or putting in your own money. And that's where the success that we've had in the past and our continuation of doing work has really just instilled confidence in us to just take those risks, because we know that if we put our heads to it, that, we're pretty confident we're going to be able to get something done. Mm-hmm. So if we have any questions, I don't know. Hey, let's see. Is that a written question? Looks like someone's writing something in the chat. I don't know.
If they could type in the chat, it's going to echo.
Okay, yeah. If you want to put the questions in the chat, and Jack, I don't know if you can make that any bigger.
You want me to just read them out for you?
Sure.
All right. Let's see.
Who's this?
Eric Gaber direct message. Let me read through just real quick.
Yeah, we didn't.
Yeah, filter his content.
Yeah, please. Eric is a loose cannon.
Sure thing.
Never know. We were on a call with him one time, and it was with the people we were actually going to be partnering with potentially, and they have a thing that's like they would be on television. So I'll just say that. And they were like going through some different things. They were like, oh, it's an issue of a feed. It's like a clean feed or a dirty feed. And then Eric is just buzzwords off the clock, just shooting from the hip. And he's like, yeah, we'll follow up with, we'll follow up with the clean feed, dirty feed. We'll get our price points out. Like, I can't even like make up the buzzwords he was coming up with. It was just fast. He was drinking his Mountain Dew, and it was great. But yeah, so if we have any other questions, maybe that aren't direct messages from Eric,
Well,
because
he does have a message or a question for you guys. So if you guys could explain to the audience what you guys learn about micro ambassadors versus just going with big volume following ambassadors and their importance as it relates to brand building.
Sure.
You can speak
so I think
to that a little
Marcus
bit.
really started with reaching out to the big time brand ambassadors.
Yeah, so I kind of had to do a little bit of work, see people on Instagram, see their following, try and look up that name on YouTube to find out what emails associated with that, and kind of from there being able to get in contact. And a lot of people did answer, and then we got in touch, they forward kind of me to their agent, and then going through there, and then realizing kind of what the cost is for some of those bigger influencers and what they're able to charge for being able to even be on their story for a tick was just something that's over our heads. It was like, yeah, we could do it once, and that would be it. We better hope that turned into a ton of sales, or otherwise we would be breaking our piggy banks.
Yeah. And now we're kind of focusing more on reaching out to the micro influencers, kind of like, if I could equate it to reaching out to storefronts, because for us, our plan is to not just go to like a Dick's Sporting Goods right off the bat. I mean, we'd love to be in those stores, Dick's, Dunham's, Canadian Tire. But that's kind of what the big time influencers are that have, millions of followers. It's like, all right, you're going to have to pay a steep price. You're not going to get a ton out of it. It's not going to be like the super most personal connection. But if we could compare what we're reaching out to now, micro influencers, people with like 5,000 to 10,000 or 5,000 to maybe 50,000 followers, they are a little bit more in touch with their audience. Their audience, I think, trusts them maybe a little bit more. They're a little bit more loyal to their brand. So if we're going to give them something to put in front of their audience, they're going to be able to say like, yep, I stand behind this product. I believe in it. And, it's just a better.
And working with them directly and not going through another middle party kind of slowed down the process to eventually get to a no anyway. So if we're able to get directly to the influencers, I think that helps us a lot too.
Yes.
Reggie has a question through Jocelyn's Zoom on here. Where do you see the company going from here? And do you see you guys expanding the company into other things like socks?
Yeah, go ahead. You got that.
Yeah, so I think first we're working on gloves as much as we can. So I know we have our current version. We see some auxiliary uses for the product, maybe in some other areas outside of sports directly. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from people that have tested it in, for hunters or hiking and stuff like that are outdoors, just another layer, and helping with the smell and preserving some of the more expensive, winter gloves that really do their job.
Skiing.
Yeah.
Shout out to my dad.
And as well as some industrial uses as well, kind of with the same principle that we use for sports. Same people that wear, heavy duty gloves every day and keep them on all day, they have the same problems that the athletes have. So kind of expanding our brand and our reach, as well as our product line, to better suit some of those other avenues, I think is the immediate focus. And then maybe beyond that is when we can start getting into some of the products that are a little bit more not as unique as our gloves are. Once we establish ourselves, we can kind of get into some of the socks and the shirts and stuff like that are related to our product, but not other people are already doing.
Yeah. And my dad also likes wearing the gloves for driving too. So there's a lot of different uses, you never know. Like, I was using them this morning to, scrape off my car. So they're warm. There's a lot of different uses for it. So I think Marcus definitely summed up the answer really well. So
awesome. Eric Gaber has another question, which you guys touched on a lot there. Basically, what are your thoughts about expanding your brand? Initially, you were soccer goalies, then hockey and lacrosse. What's next? You guys mentioned skiing and some of the other uses, but are there specific things that you're looking at expanding?
I think, we'll see, the things that we just talked about, definitely. And I think as we grow and get the brand out to more people and get the products out to more people, one of a salesman that I deal with at my full-time job, he was saying that it'd be great for sailing and like a sailboat, with sheets and stuff. I don't know,
I
but
don't know
I'm
much
not a
about
sailor.
sailing. Yeah.
But so that we think that there could be, and we're showing signs that there is some interest coming from other markets that we might not be considering, that are either still in the sports market or just a little bit off in different industrial and auxiliary uses.
And I think kind of with that process is we kind of have to kind of reset to where we were when we were doing the market research.
Yeah.
We had to do a lot of steps to be able to show the proof of concept, to get the samples, to push it forward. And I think we kind of have to reset that once we're in the right spot, to get the samples out to people, start doing some surveys to understand what other avenues people might find uses for the glove, and then tailor it from there.
Yeah, and from an accounting standpoint, it's not like, we need money to be coming in to make more things go outward. So, if we're spending a lot of our time and money on, developing, a sock or a hat or, something, I don't know, that's taking away from what we could be doing for marketing or sales.
Yeah, we don't want to spread ourselves too thin.
Right.
I'd rather do one thing well than really good than a bunch of things okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. We got quite a few more on here.
Nice.
Sean Davis asks, I know you have your hands full right now, but do you have any other ideas or future products to expand your brand?
Man, everyone wants to know what's coming next.
Yeah. I would say similar to some of the other answers is I think we're kind of moving forward in some related products, like other glove uses, and then maybe some bags to go with the gloves, and other athletic products that kind of help with stink. But other than that, I think we're kind of, especially for this year, very tunnel visioned on let's get the glove enhancers up.
Yeah.
And then we'll kind of go from there.
Yep.
Awesome. Danielle Anderson, why reach out to people who charge to be brand ambassadors rather than using friends and family to push the brand until connecting with ones that you have to pay?
Sure. So I think, we have reached out to a lot of friends, and, just from sharing things on Instagram, and obviously we've been able to help, or WEC has been able to help us a lot. But to really, get it out to, it's like you got to find that right point of like, this is going to give us a boost versus like, there's a cost benefit analysis of like spending a little bit of money to get a certain boost, or not spending money to get maybe some organic traffic that maybe will be 1 or 2 times, maybe not super consistent. I mean, if we pay an influencer to post 4 times, in a week, they'll post 4 times in a week. If we tell a friend, hey, post 4 times this week, they might forget. There might be different things that happen.
I think a lot of overlap too between like our networks and our mutual friends networks is like they already see it from us. How many more times do they need to see it, and how's it going to benefit us? And I think one of the things with going to the top right away is obviously we weren't sure, and it's a big thing for us is credibility. We ran into that a lot. We have a good product, we had people test it, but it's brand new, and people that are athletes, some of them are superstitious, some of them have been doing the same thing for 15 years when they get ready for games. So breaking into that like routine takes a lot of credibility. Like they have to really believe in it to want to try it. So like I compare that to when Nike came out with the soccer cleats that had the ankle sock attached to them. Not a lot of people tried that right away, and it was from Nike. So you can imagine a company that people never heard of bringing something completely different to their sports thing that people care a lot about. So going to the top, I think was our initial plan, to see if we could get someone big that liked them and would push them forward, because that would really help get the direct to customer sales going.
Emil asks, how are your Amazon sales
We have
going?
some incredible customers on Amazon. That's all I'll say about that.
Sarah asks, looking back on all the swirling that took place in the early stages of your product, what would be your advice for someone who's just starting out?
Swirl, baby, just swirl. Do as much swirling as you can, because that's the only way that you learn what not to do. I mean, we made some mistakes, and learned things from feedback that we got from people, and it it took a while, but it got us to where we're at.
I would also say it helps a lot to work with people that you can trust and are in maybe different areas of expertise. Like AJ's in accounting, I was in marketing, Mike was in engineering, and that kind of helped us build a core at the beginning to be able to get things done originally. Because if you're ever going to get someone to maybe give you initial seed money that you need, you have to prove that you've spent a lot of time and are capable of being worth their money. You know, they're not just handing it out because they like charity, they just give it to a charity instead.
Yeah.
So just kind of pushing yourself forward and then finding someone that kind of aligns with what you think your business would go with. Because, you know, like I said, we were with someone before that didn't really quite help us as much as we wanted, but it was just they had different style to how they wanted to start a business. And I think once we got linked up with Eric, I think that really streamlined ourselves. So the quicker you can get to Eric, the better.
Yep. Go talk to Eric.
Danielle again asks, she says, I may have missed this, but what platforms are you using for sales? Website, Etsy, Shopify, Squarespace, stuff like that.
So Squarespace is our website builder. That is the main hub for our product. That's where most of our sales come from. We're also on Amazon. We are on Walmart Plus, which is like the Walmart version of Amazon that they rolled out to compete with Amazon. And then we're also on Facebook and Instagram because they now have that new store feature on there as well. So we feel like we have, you know, some channels out there, and that's kind of also part of developing our brand and our you know, online marketing strategy of how are we going to push people to these different platforms. We've seen a little bit of success in some different platforms, and it's like, all right, well, for us to see success here, it's going to cost this much. For us to see success here, it's going to cost this much. Maybe this platform's just to be just good to be on there, just to say that we're on there, you know. And that's kind of the case with Walmart. I mean, Mike did a really good job. He
Jumped on that really quick.
He really
they rolled it out. He found it.
Yeah.
Went through the vetting process of everything we needed to do and got on there. And so I think we're really proud to be on there right away.
Yeah.
And then, you know, some of the retail stores we're going to be expanding into will be soon. So we'll be in physical stores as well.
Brock Barrett says, what has been the company's most important milestone thus far?
Probably getting the product made, I'd say.
Yeah, I would say maybe that first time we had the final version of the sample, we're like, hey, this is that thing that we thought of a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And then after that, maybe that first sale, because I think I said, kind of motivating me through the way, if I had an idea in my car one day and then someone bought one, that's pretty crazy. So I think that first day that we had an order go through to like a complete stranger was like, wow, that was crazy.
That was cool because I remember that we were like texting in the group message, like, do you know this person? No one knows this person. It's a real sale.
Yeah.
So it was very exciting.
Yeah.
Awesome. And unless any more trickle in, the last question is Tanya. How many versions of your business plan did you write up?
More for you.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote up the initial one for the business plan competition. I'm sure there was a few drafts in there. And then there was probably at least one or two more once Eric came around. And then for our partnership proposal, we also had to put together like a prospectus, which was kind of a business plan that was geared towards that group that we were potentially working with. So maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5. We should probably write another one coming up here soon, just to kind of go into this next stage of the business to kind of.
Yeah, I would say there was definitely a period there where maybe we weren't even writing it down, but we were probably doing a business reevaluation every month or two.
Yeah.
When we got together, just because so like I said, when you're really small and then you have one conversation with a big company, like that really changes what we're about to do. And so those kind of dominated conversations for a little bit, which kind of made us go up and down and what was the biggest focus we were working on.
Yep. Any more questions?
That's all for now.
That's it. All right. Well, you can buy the glove enhancer. Is it in focus? No, you can buy the glove enhancer. And can we get an autofocus? Yeah. Nice.
Oh, my God.
See what's the
Dramatic effect.
Yeah, dramatic effect. We need to get the, what is it, a dolly effect? It's all right, Jack. You don't need to worry about it. It's more for the effect. But you can check out the Odorex Glove Enhancer on odorexathletix.com. That's ODOREXATHLETIX.com. See, the camera's switched.
Yeah,
it's very
very
confusing
tricky
from our point of view. And we're on Instagram at Odorex_Athletics. We're on Facebook at Odorex Athletics. We're on Walmart Plus, on Amazon, LinkedIn. We're both on LinkedIn.
You have to try and not find us, really.
Yeah, we're trying to be more places too. So if you have any other ideas, if you have like a Tumblr or something you want to share us on there, that'd be cool too. But if not, if there's nothing else, thank you everyone for tuning in. We really appreciate it. I know, at least speaking for myself, I really enjoyed telling our story. And
yeah, for sure. Thanks everyone for tuning in. It's really great to share our story. And if anyone has any individual questions or they have something they need help with or have a question about how we handled something, we're happy to share.
Yep. You can message us on any of our platforms because, we still are a small business. So we're the ones who are going to be talking to us. So thank you.
Yeah.
And have a good evening.